Nikki Gordon, and I am the CTE coordinator for Nova SySTEMic at the Loudoun campus. So I sit at the Sterling Nova campus in Loudoun County, and I'm also your liaison. So I think I've been out to visit a few of the high schools in the area, so hopefully it's a familiar face for you all. And we're very excited to share with you opportunities that you have with Nova starting now while you're still a high school student. And I will turn it over to my colleague, Chris.
All right, folks, thanks for being here with us today. So I am Chris Russell. I am the project manager for the Information and Engineering Technologies Division here at Nova. And basically what I'm going to go over with you guys today is some of the tech fields that Nova is recruiting for right now. And I'm going to talk a little bit about regional pathways to get involved in these career fields, and also some of the things we have that you can do starting right now. So the first things first, the internet is not magic. There isn't a Netflix fairy that comes to deliver anime to your phone. There is a complex infrastructure of technologies that are run by people with specialized training and technical knowledge. As we know from our experiences from the last couple of years during the pandemic, we are increasingly reliant on access to networked and cloud-based services to go about our daily lives. And because of that, the consistency and continuity of these network services are more important than ever. So basically, you can do a little experiment at home, turn off the Wi-Fi in your house and see how fast somebody starts complaining. Probably take about a minute. So Nova's goal, and the goal for a lot of schools, not just us, is to prepare students to take on the role of building and maintaining the computing infrastructure of today, and also to help invent whatever we're going to end up doing tomorrow. So during this presentation, I'm going to go over three basic things. The first is, what are some of the main tech disciplines are right now, and what are some of the differences between them, why you might choose one over another. Second is what Nova's role is in the pathways to careers in these disciplines. And then the third I mentioned before is just the things that you could do right now. So I'm going to briefly go over four big disciplines. The first is computer science. This is the one I'm sure you guys have already all heard of. I'm going to talk a little bit about information technology, a little about cybersecurity, and a little about data center operations. And I've listed these probably in the order that people are most familiar with them. And I'll highlight the last of which, data center operations, especially because it's very relevant to Loudoun County. So let's first start off with we're here for a computer science career fair. Let's start off with computer science. So largely, folks who get a computer science degree develop software. And that is a very, very broad network of things. It could include mobile applications. It could include e-commerce like Amazon. It could include video games. It includes a vast variety of computing languages, for example, like PHP, Java, or C#. And now, most folks who go into computer science to develop software need to have a bachelor's degree from a 4-year college. And that's more or less a hard and fast requirement. We may have all heard of Bill Gates dropping out of school to pursue a degree, but that's not the case anymore. We don't live in that world. So that's computer science. Computer scientists develop software in an enterprise environment. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about information technology. So in IT, you maintain and you deploy hardware and software. That includes troubleshooting. I'm sure everyone here has had to call in to get help with something that doesn't work, or many students already act as the IT support for their house in case your parents can't get something to work. IT folks ensure continuous access to user data. They maintain systems that let people access the things that they need to do their jobs. And they build networks and make sure that the Wi-Fi stays on. Okay, now I'm going to talk very briefly about cybersecurity. Folks in cybersecurity protect and secure data from bad actors. And by bad actors, I don't necessarily mean someone on television. I'm instead referring to folks with malicious intent. So folks who work in cybersecurity, they update systems and policies. They keep people safe when they're using their computers and they're using especially the internet. They teach non-technical users about those risks. So they help educate folks who don't have a technical background and make sure that when they are on their computers, they're not making a mistake. They hack into existing systems to identify vulnerabilities. So if there are systems that are insecure, one of the ways you can find out is to have a cybersecurity expert try and get in. And that identifies what might need to be fixed to ensure that, again, folks, when they are using their devices, that their data is as safe as possible. And then the last is folks in cybersecurity, one of their jobs is to set up secure networks to ensure that when we design all of the means by which we access the internet, that those are designed in such a way to ensure, again, that folks' data is kept secure and safe. And the last is data center operations. We'll go over this one a little more depth because most people haven't heard of this one. So when we send and receive data through any networked way, whether it's with our phone or with our computer, that data actually has to travel physically on whether it's via satellite or whether it's through fiber that's running through the ground to somewhere in order to be processed. Well, it largely travels to large centralized computing hubs called data centers. And it just so turns out that in the United States, the majority of those data centers are actually in the Northern Virginia region. And according to our folks over at these data centers, about 80% of the world's internet traffic actually goes through Loudoun County in some way or another. So this is a little bit different than the computer science as you might think of it, in the sense that your folks who work in data center operations don't sit at a computer looking at a terminal all day typing in if-then-else statements. Instead, they are on site managing large computing hardware that's on the scale of a warehouse or a room. So folks who work in data center operations, you're hands-on running the actual physical backbone of the internet. Rooms full of servers that require giant air conditioners to keep cool. You're managing that hardware at a massive scale. So when you're in a data center, it'll be the size of a grocery store, basically, except instead of aisles of food, you'll have aisles of computers. And those are managing all the time, 24 hours a day, incoming requests from users. And then last, data center operations it's a mission critical job. So millions of users rely on data centers to be up almost at any time, because whenever you open YouTube, whenever you open any social network, those queries go through a data center, and that's how that information is brought to your phone or to your computer. Okay, so what's NOVA's role in this infrastructure? How does NOVA help students in these pathways? Well, largely there are two ways to think of it. The first is to get an Associate of Science degree. We call that an AS for short. That's a 2-year degree, and that kind of degree is designed to help students transfer to a 4-year university or college. So we are the Northern Virginia Community College, so most students who come to NOVA who want to get an Associates of Science degree transfer to a Virginia college or university. And if you stay within the Virginia state system, you are pretty much guaranteed admission at almost any state school. That would include George Mason, it would include VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, it would include Virginia Tech, it would include the University of Virginia. So the idea there is that after you complete 2 years of coursework that focuses on general background knowledge in the discipline, a lot of times foundational mathematics like calculus, then you'll transfer on to complete your 4-year degree at a state university. The second sort of degree we offer is what we call an Associate of Applied Science degree, an AAS. This degree also takes 2 years to complete, but it looks a lot different than an Associates of Science degree, even though it has a very similar title. The idea of an AAS is after 2 years, you'll be prepared to start working in the field immediately. And I mentioned, 4 disciplines: computer science, IT, information technology, cybersecurity, and data center operations. And all 4 of these are disciplines that NOVA has degree programs in. And we have both of these functions, or both these types of degrees for all of those programs. So why would you choose one over the other? Why would you want to choose an Associates of Science, or why would you want to choose an AAS, an Associate of Applied Science? And the long story short is you have to kind of think about what your approach is to your education. If you are intending to stay in the region and you'd like to start working as soon as you possibly could, then an Associate of Applied Science degree is what you want to be leaning towards. Those degrees are really focused on acquiring technical skills and getting into the workplace as fast as you possibly can. Now, if you're feeling a little less certain, or if you're feeling more positive that you want to have an in-depth technical background, then an Associates of Science degree is where you would want to go. Then, after your 2 years at Nova, you would transfer to some other four-year institution. And most folks who go to Nova, who do an associate's degree in Associates of Science degree, do end up at George Mason University. Though we send folks, again, to colleges and universities all through Virginia. All right. Okay, so that's all about what you could do 10 years from now. But what could you do now? So I'm going to go ahead and highlight just a couple of programs we've got going on that can help you get a head start, or maybe help you decide which one of these fields most interests you, or that you might like to learn more about. So I'm going to highlight three of them right now for you. The first is summer internships. So Nova runs a bunch of camps, summer camps. These summer camps are focused on a number of STEM issues, including robotics, introductory coding, microelectronics, and fabrication, digital fabrication. And we're recruiting high school students to help us run these camps. So if you're someone who already has some background or some experience in, broadly speaking, in the STEM disciplines, maybe you yourself have been in a robotics club, or maybe you yourself have already taken a computer science course, then this would be something you could do over the summer, where you would teach middle and elementary school students and help classroom teachers run these camp experiences. This might also give you an idea about whether the discipline you end up interning in would be something you'd want to pursue in the longer run. The second program I'd like to highlight is our Nova Makers program. So we have a large digital fabrication lab. I'm actually sitting in it right now. You might see some of the 3D printers behind us. So in this program, you sign up, come on into the lab, and you can learn 3D printing, laser engraving, and CNC milling, which is computer numeric control, at our fab lab. You can use these technologies largely to do cool crafting stuff, but while you're doing that, you'll also have a chance to learn a bunch of basic foundational STEM skills, including, and especially including coding, visual design, and robotics. And then finally, for high school students, we do have a couple of opportunities for summer camps. And a summer camp is a good way to get a taste or sort of an idea of what a STEM field might be like, in case you might have an interest in pursuing it more in the future. So the ones that I would highlight are rocketry, cybersecurity, and digital fabrication. So I've mentioned digital fabrication. That will be run out of our fab lab, where students learn about 3D printing and laser engraving. But we also have cybersecurity camps, which are suitable in case you want to get an idea of what a cybersecurity professional does on the day-to-day during their tasks. I'll give a little more overviews of these programs, and then we'll be ready to open up the floor in case anyone has any follow-up questions. So, like I said, for our 2022 summer internships, we are asking for high school students to help us work with elementary and middle school students. We'd like to have folks who are proficient in basic coding, basic robotics, basic fabrication, or other microelectronic platforms like the microbit or the Arduino. I will say, though we having experience in one of these things is a plus, all these are things that are easy enough to learn. Each of these internships is 2 weeks long in total, about 65 or really more like 70 hours. And during that time with us, you'll learn the curriculum, you learn a little bit about teaching, you'll help set up the machines, and then you'll assist a classroom teacher in actually teaching students how to use these materials. And then afterwards, you'll work with our staff to help us to improve our curriculum that we're offering as part of these camp experiences. This is a paid opportunity. It's not for free. You'll earn $750 over the course of those 2 weeks. And we are recruiting for that right now. We will share out the application at the end of this. So please do consider applying. And of course, we also have Nova Makers. I've mentioned this one as well. Through Nova Makers, you come into our lab. We'll help you learn how to use the machinery. And after I finish this slideshow, I can show you some of the machines near me. We have about, it says here only 100,000, but our space is probably millions of dollars in equipment, and it is open to use to high school students as long as they complete the machine certifications. This is a great chance to start in a very fun and engaging way to start learning a lot of these foundational skills in programming especially. And then the last thing I want to highlight again is for STEM camps. If you're not really 100% sure what you'd like to do or whether this is good, whether an opportunity in any of these fields I've mentioned is going to be the right choice for you, a camp is a good way to get an idea of whether it might be good. We're offering cybersecurity camps that are all virtual and in-person camps that are all day, and registration for those is open now. Now, the prior two programs that I've mentioned, the STEM internships, that's paid opportunity, and Nova Makers is offered free of cost. However, these STEM camps, we do ask for a fee for that. Now, for registration and information for these programs that I've mentioned, the easiest way to find it, I could give you a website here, but the easiest way to find it is just to Google Nova SySTEMic, written right here, and we're the first result. Click on that, and it will have all the registration and more information about any of these programs. Now, I will mention the timing of this presentation is a little unfortunate, as we also plan in these next few years, we'll be offering summer bridge programs. And these will be 2-week summer camp-like experiences for high school juniors and seniors looking to get more of a introduction to these technical fields that I've just mentioned. So this will be starting next year. We'll have opportunities for a summer bridge program in computer science, one in information technology, and then finally one in engineering technology. The registration deadline for this summer is unfortunately passed yesterday, but those programs will be offered again for the next couple of years. So I know I've just done a bunch of information past you, but we're going to be around for the next 10 minutes or so to answer any questions you might have about the programs that I've mentioned, any technical questions about the disciplines that I've gone over, or anything else that you might be thinking of. So thank you for your time. So I'm going to stop share now.
One of the questions we have in the chat is when will they know if they've been selected to participate as an intern?
Yes, so we are starting to review those like very, very soon. I think we had planned to start contacting folks within the next couple of weeks. So if that interests you and you haven't applied already, if you have, great, we're going to let you know in the next couple of weeks. If you haven't, I would really recommend trying to get that in right now, as we are hoping to make decisions as soon as we possibly can.
I'm putting the link to sign up or register for the internship in the chat box as well.
Yeah, to clarify, we are still accepting applications for the summer internships, but it is kind of a tight timeline. So if that interested you, what I just said, absolutely apply as soon as you possibly can. Mm-hmm. We run summer camps in almost all regions, including Loudoun, but there's a limit to the number of spots that we have for that program.
The Loudon camps will be the end of July and the beginning of August. But if you're willing to be an intern at one of the other regions, that is a possibility earlier in the summer as well.
Yeah, this some of the transportation can be a little bit thorny if you're driving from, say, from Loudon to Alexandria. It's a long drive.
And you will need to provide your own transportation to the internship, whichever site you participate at.
Yeah.
What other questions do you have?
Yes, so David asks, are the STEM camps held in Nova campuses as well? So for cybersecurity, those are all virtual because that's mostly done in a command environment. But every other one, they're all in person on Nova campuses. And those need to be in person largely because they involve a lot of hands-on work, especially the robotics ones and the microelectronics work. Not really possible to do remotely. All right, Ariana asks, if I were to apply, what do you think I should look for in the internships, like in terms of expanding knowledge and experience? So in terms of what you should highlight about yourself and your background, I would say what we're looking for mostly is folks who have an interest in these fields, and they have some sort of like a hobbyist level background, I would say. So let's say you're applying for one of these internships and you've built your own computer in the past for gaming. That would be something that I would highlight because that shows that you have the ability to, go out on your own, learn some skill, and apply it. Another thing to highlight is be an interest in working in an educational environment. So, for example, if that's something that's of interest to you, then I would highlight that. But the STEM camps will include, a little bit. They're a little bit of a combination of working, in an educational environment and also technical skills. And I will, speaking from experience, a lot of times our interns, our high school folks who are on deck during the camps, they're the ones who end up troubleshooting a lot of the tech issues. So I mentioned IT earlier. If you're a high school student on site of these camps, you tend to become the default IT person, helping younger students, troubleshoot working with their technologies.
We're not looking for somebody to give these younger campers the answers. We're looking for somebody who can help them figure out what the answer is and guide them along that learning. If you have interest or a question of if you want to go into IT versus computer science, I have put a link to one of our videos that talks about the difference between those two. It's very well done, and so that's something else that you could take a look at if you're interested. What other questions do you all have? Perfect.
Well, I'm going to stop recording. We'll still be here for the next 5 minutes or so. So if you have questions, please feel free to stay on.